You're listening to the Burnout to Breakthrough podcast. I'm your host, Erin Porter. I'm a business and mindset coach for female entrepreneurs who are ready to overcome burnout and build their brand, bank account, and sell their services with celebration, excitement, and ease. This show is about how to step into your power as a business owner, ditching all the rules of the online business world, overcoming burnout, and up-leveling in all areas of your life so you can have the constant and consistent breakthroughs. If you're ready for the no BS celebratory way of running a business and you're ready to quit cock blogging yourself so you can create the financial freedom you crave, then let's dive into today's episode. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Burnout to Breakthrough podcast. Today, I have my friend Lisa Dooley, who is a multifaceted light leader wearing many hats in the spiritual world. She's a Reiki master teacher, energy healer, ordained priestess, spiritual channel, teacher, coach, and mentor. She's been studying energy through many walks of life and has been able to transition from a non-serving full-time muggle job into a full-time spiritual entrepreneur. She helps you find the light that lives within you so you can begin to create the life that you desire. So without further ado, let's dive right on into today's episode. And welcome to today's episode. As you guys had heard in the intro, I have my good friend Lisa from Channeled Inspirations on the show with us today. So you got to hear a little bit about her background and her story in the intro, but I want her to just really dive in with us. So Lisa, thanks for being on the show, and tell us a little bit more about you, how you got into the online space and your modalities that you offer. Just kind of give us the full journey.
Okay, well, first, thank you for having me. And so I was lucky enough to grow up pretty spiritual. So I had a pretty good understanding of it from a young age. And as I got older, I was living life and things weren't working out for me the way I was living. It wasn't of my benefit. So I decided to shift things and change things and dive further into the spiritual realm. So I really revisited what I had started to learn at a young age. So I learned Reiki and I studied angel card readings, automatic writings. What else did I do? I did a lot of different things. It's been a few years where I've been studying in the spiritual realm. And as I was studying, I was working full time. And that also wasn't working for me. I was stressed out. I was depressed. I was making money for somebody else while just scraping by. So eventually, as I studied more and more modalities and really realized that this was my passion and my purpose, I left my full-time job behind. And before I was able to jump into Channeled Inspirations full-time, I had a part-time job. So I was doing both for a little bit, but that also wasn't the best. It wasn't my passion. So recently I was able to leave that part-time job as well and jump into Channeled Inspirations full-time and really jump into the online space as well as the in-person space here on Long Island.
I love that. So tell us more about channeling, because I think it's something that people are starting to maybe understand a little bit more, but they're also not sure what it means. So kind of give us what it means and how you found out that that's what you were doing and tapping into it and the different people that are being channeled and the energies. Kind of give us the whole 411 on this.
Okay. So it's actually funny because I named my business Channeled Inspirations before I realized that I was channeling. So I think my soul knew about it way before my conscious mind put two and two together. Everything that I do is channeled, and I knew that. I knew I was channeling Reiki healing, and I wasn't the healer. I was channeling the energy through me, but I didn't realize the extent of my abilities to channel. So channeling, in short, is kind of just opening yourself up to allow a non-physical energy to move through you. Whether it be voice channeling, you can art channel, channeled writings, channeling healing modalities. So it's just another energy that's moving through you. That's pretty much channeling.
Love that. So when you're doing that with your clients, how are you, do you have to get yourself into a certain state or alignment to be able to do that first? Or is it just so natural for you that it's not necessarily something that you have to call in?
A little bit of both. It's very natural to me now. I can kind of go in and out of it much quicker than I used to. But I always set a sacred space whenever I'm doing work. That's really important to me, to make sure that I am surrounding me and my clients within white light and only white light. That's all I'm interested in.
Can you tell us a little bit more about like why white light is so important to bring into the environment in that scenario?
Yeah, white light is the most high vibrational. It's light of the divine. So when I set a sacred space, I call in the white light and I ask that it is any lower vibrations are released and transmuted, and that only white light is welcome. So that way it's kind of setting the boundaries of this work is sacred, it's divine, and it's in a safe space. And nothing of lower vibrations, nothing that wants to harm us is welcome.
I love that. That's so beautiful. I think something too that, a lot of people struggle with is understanding like the energy that is moving through them, because, sometimes we have this energy of like excitement, and sometimes it's this energy of overwhelm. Sometimes it's this energy of burnout. Sometimes it's this energy of celebration. And we, even throughout a day, we can have so many different energies that are flowing through us and so many different feelings and emotions based on that. So how, what are some ways that if maybe, since this is the Burnout to Breakthrough podcast, if people are feeling really burnt out with their energy or feeling really overwhelmed, what are some practices to be able to clear your energy and to be able to get back in alignment so then you can do the next thing that you need to do?
I think one of the most important things is meditation. And that can look different for everybody. It doesn't always have to be that traditional silent meditation for an hour just sitting still. It can be a moving meditation. It can be a chanting practice, just some way to connect to your core, your center, and that will help to clear your energy. So finding a meditation practice that works for you really, really helps bring your energy into alignment. It helps release that burnout, because when you're not paying attention to your energy, that's when you feel that burnout. When you're not taking care of yourself, that's when you're drained. So if you shift the focus to yourself, you're going to fill your cup back up, and then you'll be able to pour into other people's cups from there.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes too, we just get so much like on autopilot mode where we're not understanding that, maybe we are burnt out, or that we're not listening to our energy, and we're not maybe, taking care of us first. But sometimes we almost get we get to the point where it's past that, and then we do hit that burnout moment. So, are there ways where, I know you said meditation, but maybe if for someone that's like, how do I even like get started with something like that? Like, how do I even just like begin to feel into it? Like how do you allow yourself, I guess the best way to ask this is to get present, to understand that that's something that you need to do.
I think connecting to the breath, just taking like 3 deep breaths and breathing out anything that you're holding onto within your physical body, within your energy, and allowing like your thoughts to go with every exhale, knowing that whatever you need will come back to you. I tell a lot of my clients when they're starting out to even just take like 1 minute, start with 1 minute and just breathe deeply and connect to yourself. And then as you keep going further, you can expand the time that you're doing it for if you feel called to. And if not, 1 minute is fine. As long as you're taking that time to connect and understand, the more you can quiet yourself and connect to your energy, the more you're going to understand how it communicates to you and how it works, because everybody's energy works differently. It's all unique. And I believe we're all part of one, but we're all unique expressions of that one. So we have to understand how we work before we can actually benefit the whole.
I like that. Do you also talk about too a lot in your posts and just like in your videos and everything that you do about being able to clear your energy? So I know what meditation is one way that you're able to tap into it, but what's some ways like, either with saging or whatever practices that you're able to clear the energy that you need to be able to clear? Maybe give us a little bit of background on, some of the, tools that you use and like where their purpose is. I think that could be really helpful for anyone that's like, all right, I want to get into some of this and like understand it, but I'm like, why am I buying this sage and why is this helpful?
Right. So, there's a lot of different tools to use to actually move energy and clear energy. And sage is a great one that releases the lower vibrations from the field. So I like to actually burn something like sage or Palo Santo, because seeing the smoke move through the space is like a visual affirmation of what I'm intending. So it's helpful to have a tool like that. But you can also clear energy through sound, like using bells or singing bowls. And a lot of it is just intention. Like there's a lot of different tools you can use, but if you intend that your space is cleared, it's going to clear because of your intention. So sage will clear the lower vibrations, and Palo Santo will do the same, but it also brings in some magical vibes and uplifts the vibes of a space. So a lot of practices I like to end my day with sage and start my day with Palo Santo, because as I'm ending my day, I'm releasing any of the energy that I took on through my day. And as I start my day, I am bringing in any high vibes that are meant for me.
I love that. So it is the intention behind anything. It's like, everything that we're using as a tool, as a resource or as a strategy or whatever it might be. But at the core center of it, it's you and the energy and the intention that you're setting as you're going through it.
Absolutely. I mean, when I first started, I really held on to the tools. They were very, very important to me, and they still are, but I'm also now, as I'm understanding my energy and the energy around me, able to move energy without the tools, just using my breath or just moving my body in certain ways, allowing myself to be guided and trusting that the guidance that comes through is for my highest good.
Yeah, I think it's something else I've seen you do a lot is like movement and breathing. So can you talk to us a little bit about how those also connect in with your energy?
Yeah, that's something that actually was a channeled message given to me, that I move energy through breath and movement. And I really connect to that because I do. I've always loved like a good stretch more than most people. And that's because it's really releasing any stagnant energy in my body as I move it. And I'm big into mindful movement, just allowing my body to move how it wants, whether it be dancing or jumping up and down and shaking like a crazy person, just to release anything stagnant that's stuck. So energy responds to us, and our intention, our movements, our breath, it's all affecting the energy within us and around us. So whatever feels good is going to be of your best interest to do, energetically speaking.
Yeah. And so it's something that you said with you when you said this was like a channeled message that was given to me. So can you tell us a little bit about, what source that you tend to channel from the most, and a little bit about them and how you got connected and where all that came from?
So I've always been connected, but I wasn't aware until probably this past year. And I sat down with a channeler to receive a session for myself. And that's when my channels really started to open further and further. So I connect very strongly to the Palladian Council of Light. And that's a collective from the Palladian star system. And they are here to help us elevate. From what I've understood so far, I'm still really getting to know them and who they are, what they stand for. But what I've begun to realize and understand is that they have kind of they were here at the beginning of humanity helping us. So they're very involved in our elevation and ascension, and they want to better the earth. They want to bring us into into higher dimensions and higher vibrations. So they're very involved, and there's a lot of different channels that also channel them because they are very chatty. They're very straight to the point, and they come through strong and fast. And I really resonate with that because that's kind of like my personality in human form too. I'm like right to the point, like forget the small talk. Let's just like talk big and get to the bottom of it. So they're here to elevate us, and they come through with a lot of different activations and different reminders that it's our choice where we're vibrating and how to elevate.
Yeah. So if someone's listening to this and they feel that they maybe channel information or they get a lot of downloads, or when they're speaking, they don't necessarily feel that they're the one speaking, that it's a message that's being delivered through them, but they're not really understanding where that comes from or, how to even get started. Like, you being, a mentor for these types of people that are feeling this, how do you guide them into understanding that this is what's happening and how to be, how to connect yourself more with that source?
Well, I think it's important to remember that we're all channels. And we all channel in different ways. Some people, like myself, I'll voice channel. Some people will just channel through their writing. And a lot of times, like, especially when I was starting, I didn't realize that I was channeling. I was just like, oh, this is really good that I'm writing this. This sounds great. But it was inspiration coming from a higher source. So it's important to get in touch with that energy and begin to understand it for yourself. And you can ask the energy that's coming through, like, where are you coming from? What is the purpose of this? And see if you get, it could be like a verbal answer that you hear in your head, or it may just be like a feeling that you get. Me being very sensitive to energy, a lot of what I get is just like a feeling and an inner knowing of this is what's going on. And sometimes it's even hard to explain because I'm just like, I don't know, I just know it. Like, don't ask me to explain it. I just know this is what it is. So I think that happens for a lot of people as well. It's just like this feeling deep inside of them that is coming through, and it's just their divine expression.
Yeah, that's so good. I definitely notice like in my programs and stuff, I'll do that a lot too. And people are like, wait, what did you just say? I'm like, I have no idea because it just comes out so fast. And sometimes it's, it's just information that's being, you're used as the vessel to be able to put out the information. And it's like when someone asks you to repeat something, like, I don't know, you're going to have to like go back and watch the replay because like it was just on fire and coming out. So something else that you said that I think is really interesting is, and I think a lot of people that are listening to this will be able to relate with this when it comes to feeling other people's energy. So whether you're like, a highly sensitive person or you're very empathic, how do you suggest that people that feel that way, and if you're really, really new to this, if you're feeling other people's energy when you're in a room and that kind of helps you move from one situation to the next, like, how can you protect your energy if you do, resonate with one of those terms and you feel that often you take on people's energy?
I think having boundaries is incredibly important, and learning to understand your own energy and your own energetic needs is important. For a long time, even when I was first starting in the spiritual realm of things, I didn't really honor my own energetic needs. So I was feeling like drained and depleted and depressed and angry, and all of these emotions that other people were having were just amplified within me because I also wasn't honoring what I needed. And then I was like frustrated with myself and all of that. So it can be like a big spiral if you're not taking care of your own needs first. But then boundaries are important for when you go into environments where there's a lot of energy, or there's people that may have a strong energy, but not necessarily the highest vibrating energy. So to really put up that barrier and say that's not welcome within my field is important. There's different practices you can do. You can work with. I am a big fan of the white light. So just calling that in and asking that there's a white bubble around you to protect you from other people's shit, for lack of a better term, so that it's transmuted before it really enters your field. Because you don't want to feel other people's feelings. It's a big enough job to feel your own feelings. You don't have to take on that for others.
Yeah. And it's really too, it's like, what are you available to have, and what are you available, for, and what are you not available for in those moments, especially, with anything in life, whether that's something that you're wanting to receive or whether that's the energy that you're surrounding in, being very aware and having those boundaries for yourself. So then that way, like you said, you don't really need to be able to take on other people's shit or, what they're feeling. And I think with that too, so a lot of times in the online space, people talk about, you're an energetic maximum for something and you have like an energetic minimum. How, being aware of our energy, are we able to understand maybe if we're at the maximum versus the minimum, and how can we move ourselves continually towards being an energetic match at our maximum vibe? Does that make sense?
Kind of. So I think understanding our energy is the first step for all of that, and understanding how we are creating everything that's around us. And that means like the good, the bad, and the ugly is created by us. So even the experiences that feel terrible, we created. So that's something that we need to begin to understand and really feel into before we can start shifting our energetic minimums and maximums. But one of the things I've found to really work to shift the energy standards is moving into things that may scare you, but deep down, like you have to do. So for a long time, I was big into avoidance of those things. I was like, oh no, that's scary. I'm not going to do it. No, no, no. And as I became more and more aware of my energy, I realized that wasn't like fear, like I'm going to die fear. It was excitement fear. And that was the way I needed to move. So I don't think I would have understood that if I didn't understand my own energy first.
Yeah, I think
the first.
Yeah, that's huge. And it's so hard for us to shift into that place that we don't necessarily know, because we know that on the other side of that, like amazing things can happen, but also like there's going to be some things that test us in those moments, or there's, the next level version of us, and it's not anywhere that we've been yet. So it's in this moment, like you're suggesting, is energetically playing there and getting yourself there. So then you can create the space for that person that you are, meant to be, that you are working on becoming, can come in. Because if you do it from where you're at now, then you end up recreating, those scenarios, or you're staying where you're at. But if you tap into, what she would do, or how to move your energy into that next level by taking that step, then it holds the space for it to be able to call in.
Exactly. And one thing that definitely helps me get used to that feeling before I start to like physically act on it is to visualize myself doing the things and becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable. That's something I tell my clients all the time. Like, we're not going to go anywhere if we're not comfortable with the uncomfortable, because it's going to feel uncomfortable at first. It's new and you're out of your comfort zone. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary for our elevation to do that.
Yeah, it is uncomfortable. And that's the thing. Sometimes we would rather, subconsciously stay where we're at, even though it may not be the best thing, but it also may not be the worst thing. But we know if we have to shift into that next best thing, that there's going to be some uncomfort. There's going to be some things that require us to do things differently. And yeah, there's so much fear of the unknown, especially sometimes too within shifting our energy. So it can be a little overwhelming or terrifying and scary, of course, at any level. I think something that I try to remind people of a lot is that with each new shift, there's still fears. There's still things that we are constantly working through. It's not just when you get to, some sort of awakening or some, next level in your business or whatever it is, that everything's all, fine and dandy. It's like, then you have the next level thing that you're trying to call in, or whatever that might be. So I know one question that people are going to ask after listening to this is, okay, so I'm feeling this way. I want to be able to go here. How do I shift this? How do I not stay where I'm at? So when you get that question a lot of how do I need to shift my energy, what are some of like the tools or tips that you give people to be able to shift?
I think one of the most empowering things that we can remember is that it's always a choice. We get to choose how we view it. We get to choose where we're vibrating. We get to choose how we perceive it. We can either choose to be a victim of circumstance, or we can choose power and love and acceptance of what's happening around us, and know that we can choose again. We can always choose again. So if somebody is looking to shift, the first thing to do is look at your thoughts around what you want to shift. So what are you thinking? What's coming up? What are those fears? What patterns are you recognizing? All of those like subconscious things really play a part, and our thoughts affect our energy so much more than people realize. Like, we have so much more power than people realize. And it wasn't until I really began to realize that I had power over my life that things shifted in the way that I desired them to. It was my choice where I go. It's my choice what I see. It's my choice what I create. And everybody else has that choice too. I'm not special. Everybody else gets to do it too.
Yeah, this is so good. And it's really about it comes back to the awareness with everything. It's, like you said, being aware of our energy, being aware of, who we're being in those moments, and allowing ourselves to know that it might not be a tool, it might not be a resource, it might not be something that you need to do, but it comes back to, who do you need to be and how do you need to like understand and allow yourself to feel those things, and then, focus on the shift from there. So something I wanted to ask you is, do you feel like there's any, because right now I feel like we're in like a really big awakening process where a lot of people are really starting to tap into spirituality. They're really starting to understand that there's so many different things out there. So what have you kind of found, and what message, I guess, do you have for everybody that's maybe navigating through this and it does feel so foreign and new for them?
I would say just feel into it and allow it to unfold, which I know is like a frustrating answer because I've been told that. And I'm like, what do you mean allow it to unfold? I want the answers. Mm-hmm. But the answers won't come until we're ready to see them because they're already within us. We already have everything that we will ever need within us. It's just when we're ready to recognize that and when we're ready to express it that it's going to come up and out. And right now, the Earth, the collective, is really going through a major elevation, ascension, awakening, whatever you want to call it. We are rising up and elevating our vibration. And I think it's just really important to remember that the power we each have that affects the whole. It's very easy to look at the world and want to change it all and be like, but it's all outside of us. What do I do? But all we have to do is shift within and elevate ourselves and allow ourselves to rise up, and that helps the collective.
Yeah, it's understanding that we each play such a crucial role in this, especially if you're in the online space and like you know that you have a gift, you know that you have a service, something that's able to help people. It's like allowing yourself, especially in this huge awakening and in this huge like portal that's really been open, to allow yourself to own your gifts, to allow yourself to put yourself out there, you know, to be seen, to be heard. Because if you're feeling that nudge and you felt it for a long time, it's like, here's your space to be able to do that, and allowing yourself to feel into it, and like being able to take that next step. So what message do you maybe have that you've brought in for the people that are listening to this podcast? Like what is something that you believe that they need to hear right now?
What's coming up for me right now is to remind everybody that we all started somewhere. So if you're just awakening for the first time, or if you're reawakening for the 10th time, it's all serving a purpose and it's all in divine timing, and you can't rush the process. It's going to happen when it's meant to, and just allow yourself to enjoy it. Like feel into it and enjoy every moment, every new gift that comes up for you, and explore it. Like don't rush it, don't stress it, don't worry so much about what it means and how to define it. Just feel it and enjoy it and share it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much. And if people want to hang out with you and learn more about their energy and everything that you have as far as, Channeled Inspirations goes, where can we hang out with you and get to know you a little bit more?
You can hang out with me inside my Facebook community, Wanderers of Light, or you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Channeled Inspiration.
Yay. And I did some channeled messages from you as well, which were amazing. It was so fun to be able to ask those questions. I'd love to link that up in the show notes too. So if people do have maybe some questions, what's the best way? Because I know when I did this, I was like, okay, how do I need to like frame the questions that I need to ask? So if people want to do the thing with you where they're able to get, 3, what did you call it, guided like answers around the questions that they have, how can they do that?
I would say go to channeledinspirations.com and look at my spiritual services and different sessions that I hold and see what feels best for you. And then you can always email me if you have any questions at channeledinspirations@gmail.com.
Yay! Thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you for having me. I loved it.
Yay!